the story of how a lone baby deer asked this family for help. How they responded might surprise you. In May 2020, Dawn Rasmussen's husband was outside in the yard of their family home in the Dalles, Oregon, when he started hearing something that sounded like a bleating sheep. Curious about where it could be coming from, Mr. Rasmussen walked towards the sound. To his surprise, a baby deer came running up to him and ended up standing on his foot. Deer fawns usually stay hidden in vegetation for the earliest parts of their lives, while their mothers help to hide and feed them. So the Rasmussens immediately called a vet, knowing that something was odd with how the baby deer behaved. The vet examined the fawn and determined that the young black-tailed deer had been abandoned and his mother had most likely died. Unfortunately, the vet didn't have the space to take care of a baby deer, so he was sent back home with the Rasmussens, who then became instant deer parents. Despite being put in charge of an animal so suddenly, Dawn Rasmussen was determined to raise the baby deer, who they named Thor, as a wild animal rather than a pet. The couple created a large outdoor enclosure for Thor to run around in, measuring around 15 by 30 to 40 feet. Dawn was so dedicated to raising Thor properly that she even slept outside in a tent near him for the first month and a half of raising him. This was her way of making sure that Thor was safe, literally and emotionally. They also did research about what deer fawns could eat, finding out along the way that deer apparently can't drink cow's milk. Dawn ended up feeding Thor goat's milk through a baby bottle every 3 hours, every day from May to September. Under the care of the Rasmussens, Thor was cared for and taught how to search for his own food, though he did develop a strong taste for acorns. By the time he was 4 months old, Thor was able to be out in the wild on his own. Thor's newfound independence didn't stop him from coming back to his human foster parents, though. The adolescent deer would come and go to the Rasmussen home whenever he pleased. If there was no one outside when the deer visited, Thor would hop up on the Rasmussens' kitchen deck and lay on their doormat until someone came out. Other times, Dawn would go out with a bottle of milk and call out, "Thor, milky!" and the deer would come running from wherever he was frolicking to come and drink his milk. Now in 2023, Thor is around 3 years old and is completely self-sufficient in feeding himself. He's also been accepted into a local deer herd. Thor's herd has around 28 members, some of them being his aunts, cousins, and sisters that recognized him thanks to the deer's ability to smell their relatives. Since reaching his maturity and becoming part of a herd, Thor has begun spending more and more time away from the Rasmussen home. Dawn says there are even times when she doesn't see him for a month. Despite the periods of absence, Thor always comes back to hang out with Dawn. He's always excited to see her, and he still loves to lie down on that doormat on their kitchen deck. These reunions are always joyful, proving that the bond between Thor and his human foster parents is still as strong as ever. And this bond only grew stronger when Thor came home with a leg injury and Dawn nursed him back to health. Thanks to the bond between Thor and Dawn, Thor has recognized the Rasmussen home as part of his home range. Thanks to this, the herd shows no fear of hanging out on their lawn. There are even times when they'll sit around Dawn with Thor, showing her that she's been accepted by the other deers too. Now, very recently in October 2023, Thor is proving that he's all grown up as he's been spotted relentlessly chasing a doe. Looks like we might be seeing a little Thor Jr. soon.